Today I'm going to make what you call an oxtail soup. The very first time I tried oxtails I think I was like 32 years old. I had it in a Caribbean soup, and it was actually made with something called pigeon peas. They grow them in the Caribbean, and they're actually in pods, and they're kind of a green with kind of a very unusual type of look, and they're round, and they also dry them. And when they dry them, they put them in soups, and they put plantain in them and oxtails, and they're really good. So once I tried them, I really, really liked them. And I've made them probably maybe 7 times in my life. Not a lot, but it's really good. The oxtails are delicious. The pigeon peas are delicious. I put different, like I put plantain in them, and I put some different vegetables in them. But a lot of people are leery about trying them because they hear the word oxtail, and it kind of makes them nervous. But it comes from a cow. They also use veal. I buy the ones that are from cows. So you can watch how I make this, and it might be interesting to you to try. But they are absolutely delicious. So I hope you'll enjoy this recipe. So I'm going to rinse these pigeon peas, but before I do, I want you to see what they look like. When I was saying they kind of have an unusual look to them. It's almost like I can't even describe it, but they have a really pretty outer shell. So we're going to be chopping up vegetables, but in the meantime, we're going to boil some water and add some salt, maybe a couple of teaspoons of salt. And after you rinse your pigeon peas, and you could soak them if you want overnight, I didn't. You're going to just dump them all in the pot. And they're going to start cooking. And it hasn't really started completely boiling yet, but you're going to kind of start cooking those right away. So what we're going to do is start chopping our vegetables, and we're going to use a whole onion, and we're going to use like a part of a shallot, like half a shallot, so we can start getting the vegetables chopped while we're having the pigeon peas starting to cook. There's different ways to do it. This is how I do it. I'm not like a pro at it. I'm just a fan of it, and so that's how I've cooked it. And I'm sure that people from the Caribbean have many ways. There's different, depending on what island they're from, they all probably have their own way of cooking it. So I'm not a pro. This is how I choose to make it. I'm going to cut up a few carrots. 2 or 3 is fine. A couple of scallions as well. And then I'm going to cut up a plantain. So this is how you do it. You cut both ends, and then you'll take a knife and kind of make a cut in the middle, and then you can just kind of peel it off like this. It's It's real easy. And what you want, you don't want a real ripe plantain. You want either a green one or kind of in between like this, but it's not real soft. You can cut them in chunks or smaller. Actually, I think they have them in the Caribbean. They have a little bigger chunks like this. So I'm going to use 2 plantains. And once you do a little slice down the middle, they're real easy to take out. Okay, so we have all of our veggies cut. There's also about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic that goes in as well. So we just cut these up. And the only vegetable that we're not going to saute are the plantain. So we're going to gather all of our vegetables that we chopped up, except for the plantain. And we're going to take that to the frying pan and saute it for probably about five minutes. Okay, so after we heat up a little bit of olive oil, we're going to simmer this, saute this on kind of a 1 or a 2, all the veggies. So I would say probably 5 to 7 minutes we're going to saute everything so the onions are kind of translucent. The carrots aren't going to be cooked or anything, but this is just kind of sauteing them with a little salt and pepper. So we have the pigeon peas kind of cooking at a medium low just to keep them going. And then we have our veggies cooking. So we have them both kind of going at the same time. We're going to be getting the oxtail ready once we put the vegetables in with the pigeon peas. Okay, so this is how you want your veggies. They've been cooked for about 7 minutes. So now I'm going to turn off the stove and I'm going to add them to the pigeon pea soup. So all the veggies are in here with everything, and it's just going to keep cooking for a couple hours, but we're going to do the oxtail, get that prepared, and add it to this. So the first thing you're going to do is rinse your oxtail really well. Really, really well. So all the times that I've ever bought oxtails, all the times I've always bought them already cut in a grocery store. And this time I bought them from a butcher, which I've never done before. So it came just like this, the whole tail, but they did have slits in them so it'd be easier to cut them. So this is the very first time I have ever bought oxtail on the whole tail. So it's real easy to cut. You just get a meat knife, a really sharp meat knife, and you just cut them like this. They're really big, the ones on the end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to braise these. But before I do that, I'm going to season them with salt, on both sides, and some cracked pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder, not a lot. And if I was going to make oxtails not in a soup, I would be kind of like seasoning these for a few hours, but I'm not doing it that way. So once we have our oil kind of hot, we're going to start adding our oxtails in. Okay, we have this like at a medium high right now. So I'm going to leave it here for a few minutes before I turn them over. I'm going to add like a half a pinch of thyme. Very little. Okay, now we're going to turn them over on the other side. You can see how brown they are. Okay, so we've seared them on both sides, and now we're going to add them to the soup. So once I add the oxtails, that's when I add the plantain. So this is going to take a few hours for everything to cook and be tender. So everything's in here now. I could add some potatoes. I could have added celery. I could add pumpkin, sweet potato. There's a lot of other veggies I could have added, but this is what I have. So this is what I'm making, just like this. So now we're going to simmer this for about 2 hours. Kind of a medium simmer. So here's a peek. I set the timer for an hour, and then I'm going to check it and see how it's doing, and then probably will cook at least 2 hours. So we're going to simmer it on medium low. This soup smells absolutely delicious. It's very hearty. It has a very earthy, nutty smell to it, the pigeon peas and the oxtail. It's just super hearty. And like, it's a perfect type of stew or soup to make in the fall and winter. So this is the soup after probably about an hour and 10 minutes. So you can see the plantains have cooked and the meat, and the broth tastes absolutely divine. It just needs to cook more so that this meat will literally fall off the bone. So about another hour. So here you can see it's falling right off the bone here. So it's totally. So I'm going to scoop out some broth. And some oxtail. And a little more veggies. Okay, this is probably the best soup I've ever eaten in my life. I forget when I don't make it a lot how much I love it, but as you can see, it's hot still. It's a super hearty soup. And the other thing about it is it also has bone broth in it. So because of the oxtails that are surrounded by bone, this is like the bone broth too. So it's really healthy at the same time as being delicious. It's super healthy. So I am going to try this. I tried the broth earlier. Really super. I can't even describe to you the flavor. If you haven't had oxtails, and if you haven't had pigeon peas, it's kind of hard to describe to you because they're both unique flavors, but the best way to describe the pigeon peas is they're earthy, like from the ground, earthy and nutty, and the oxtails are very hearty, meaty, flavorful. This is a really, really good soup. I think if you're interested and it sounds good to you, I think you'll be surprised how how good it is.